Hello and welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Rugby League. This week, as always, joined by myself and
Shay,
who are going to go through all round 4's fixtures and looking ahead to round 5. How are we in round 5 already of the Super League season? Who knows? But we're here and we've got plenty to discuss, including some suspensions that have been brought to light and some of the incidents from this weekend's fixtures, looking ahead to not round 5, but the Challenge Cup next weekend.
Yeah.
I thought round 5 sounded a little bit too far ahead, but yeah, Challenge Cup weekend. We'll talk about some of those games and what's possibly some likely outcomes for those. But let's start off with the incidents. I'm going to draw it straight to the suspensions which have just come out for this week, and yeah, it's looking like maybe some have avoided some hefty bans. And yeah, some quite strange. And yeah, what do you think? We'll start with, what should we start with? Should we go with the Shorrocks one?
Yeah, I thought the Shorrocks one, I were at the game, the Giants game, and I thought Shorrocks one was a lot worse than Kyle Lawton's. Lawton did actually rap. It was still terrible, but he actually rapped. Shorrocks just went in with the shoulder, so I was unsure how it wasn't. Barry McDermott touched on it in commentary. Unsure how it wasn't just a red card on the night.
Can you remember what Liggy Sal got for his on with Russell in that first game for Hull? His reminded me of a very similar one to the Shorrocks one, but like you say, there were no intent to rap. He was
Yeah.
I was at the game, and I thought at the time, and just in normal speed, looking from the stand, I thought, oh, that didn't look good. You sort of see, don't you, how the player goes down, but I think it was like the intent. And what I'm really shocked is I thought this sort of stuff were kind of getting ruled out the game. You know, all these chicken wings, things like that we saw earlier on in the season, in the Challenge Cup game, the Matty Lees injury. For me, that would have chicken wing tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything came of it, but these sort of things were kind of getting ruled out the game. I don't know, is it the pace of the game what's sort of increasing that then we're seeing these kind of tackles coming back in?
It's a lazy attempt.
Lazy.
It's a lazy attempt to get the player to the ground when you can't get him to the ground.
Lazy attempt, no technique, diving straight in, you know, at the side of the knees. I just thought...
Yeah. Like I said, Shorrocks one, that looked terrible.
I just thought, what are you doing?
Yeah, that one looked really bad, and the fact that he's got a lesser suspension than Lawton really did blow my mind. I thought.
Well, he's got 2 games, and
I'll tell you what it is. It's because Matty English stayed down and had to get carried off. That was the only difference between the 2 tackles for me, and that's the reason why the bans have been so much different. Because one's done cause more damage than the other, and you've seen that with the 2 high tackles as well. You've seen Clemmer go to the bin. There was mitigating factors on that. I can't remember what the video ref says. I didn't think there were mitigating factors because Andy Ackers, he was stood up straight, whoever it was, and the other one, Delaney, he was dipping so low. Now, I've got no problem seeing them as red cards. I haven't, but like, there's got to be a level playing field now. The Bradford players picked up a ban, and obviously Clemmer's just got 3 points, which I just don't agree with. I'd love to know what these mitigating factors are. Is it just the fact of the mitigating factors are? Is the player injured? Is the player not injured? We'll move on.
I did think the Poposky one was definitely a red. It just, you see him straight away, and even before it went into slow mo, I did think it was a red card, but.
But is that because he's come out knocked out and you knew he was not called out?
Probably looks worse for. Although he come out, he's knocked out, balls on the floor rolling around. You're thinking, well, no rugby players just dropping the ball.
No, yeah.
It going into.
I think if he gets up, it goes to. I think it's yellow card. That I just think he was really low, George Delaney. I've got no qualms with it being a red card, but these mitigating factors that we hear week in week out, the mitigating factors was that he was really low. Does it make it all right? No, it doesn't. Like, obviously, the Bradford player hasn't. I just don't want to mispronounce his name. That's referred to him back, but he hasn't. He hasn't attempted to rap. So I've got no dramas it being a red card. But at the same time, George Delaney was so low in contact. You're probably talking rib area.
Yeah, I'd say he was definitely low. He was, and more like you said, a shoulder sort of height at that point. And then let's be fair, Poposky's probably coming from a dipping position up into the tackle. So they've obviously met at a point where that wouldn't naturally be the case, maybe. Do I think he was maybe unlucky? Probably not. Do I think a red card was maybe fair and then no ban subsequently on the back of it? I would probably say so. I think we're just getting around the same thing again, where we're seeing in different games the same problems with
Different outcomes.
inconsistencies with referees. It's like 1 minute, you've got a player like Adam Kieran. He's obviously done a few things already.
So if the Will Price, when he tackled Will Price off the ball, if Will Price goes down like Delaney did, because that was shoulders to head, and the referee,
that's what I don't get.
the video ref said it was mitigating circumstances. And I thought, what's mitigating about that? The ball's gone. Will Price just stood up straight, as tall as he can be. I don't know how tall he is, but probably around about 6 foot, similar sizes, and he's been whacked in the head. So I don't know what's mitigating about that. The mitigating factor for me, what us fans seem to see, is the fact that Will Price has got up and is okay to carry on.
Yeah.
That's the only mitigating factor. If Will Price is knocked Spark out on the floor, then I think we see Adam Kieran go for red. And the fact that Adam Kieran's done 2 of them tackles now in the same season, still not picked up a ban, yet you've seen...
It's a points thing as well. Is there any clarity on the points system? Some are getting 3 points. I think has Clement ended up with 3 points, or 2 or 3 points and a fine? Some are ending up with like you say, suspensions on there. I don't know. I think the bottom line is there's inconsistencies, and surely they've got to be dealt with. But I think the good point that we've raised tonight is the fact that tackle and these cannonballs that have come in, and we're seeing them week in, week out now, I think is down to just lazy tiredness, fatigue. It's a lazy effort, like you say. I know you mentioned that Lawton had rapped, but
it's still not.
Shorrocks were never rapping. It's just a bad intentional tackle. Like, I'm not saying to go in with malice to injure the player, but I'm sure no players do that. But it just makes no sense why they do that. Surely they know that that's going to be picked up. Whether it's picked up at the game, it's going to be picked up in a review afterwards, and they're going to get a ban for it. And Saints, who are low on troops already, Clemmers nearly ended up, I'd say Clemmers were just unfortunate. Clemmers, you look at it in a different light to the Shorrocks one diving in at the legs. But the Shorrocks thing, I know they're in the midst of the game, and we're not players, and we're not 60 minutes into a game like they are. But surely you're thinking, we're low on troops already. We cannot afford any suspensions. Like, I get that we're in the mix of the game at that point, and they're playing for the win, aren't they? They were in trouble, Saints, but I just don't understand what goes through their head to think, right, I'm just going to dive in at the knees and hope for best. Like,
especially like that as well.
What's changing there? The player's going to fall to the floor, the game's going to stop.
Well, not even that. If you've got 2 up top, you literally just need to lightly wrap, and they're going to go down as long as you've got both. Like, there's no reason to go in like that. And like I say, what I've heard coming out of the Giants camp, it isn't good news for Matty English.
Which is a shame. Testimonial year.
It's his last year of his contract. We don't know if he's got something signed up for next year, and now definitely that's going to hamper his plans for next year. So it's just all of it. Like I say, the mitigating factor seems to be is if the player gets up or not, and that's what we've seen across this weekend for me.
So moving on, before we come to the fixtures and the games from the weekend, some news that came out in the week as well. We discussed it before and said, obviously from John Wilkins' comments, you've now seen Mike Rush leave the club.
Yeah.
You've seen Mark Percival now be given a contract and sign a new contract.
Yeah, I thought
what's going on there.
I thought that was really strange. That seems like St Helens have fallen victims to the pundits and the fans wishes. I don't know what they've re-signed him for depth. Is it to just keep everyone happy? Is it to keep the fans happy? I'm not sure. Like I say, with the contract stuff, we're not privy to about this contract going missing.
Was the original contract not 2 years? I'm sure 2 years were mentioned, and that was the issue.
Well,
the fact that it had been changed, the goalposts had been moved to a 1 year, but then he signs a 1 year.
So I think this thing with the contract that's gone missing, I think this is the reason why I just thought that comment were underhanded, because when you sign a contract, the player gets a copy, the agent gets a copy, and the club get a copy. So if that contract was signed, there's nothing a contract can't go missing. So has it been a case of Saints have said, look, yeah, we're going to offer you this, X, Y, Z, and they've moved the goalposts, which end of the day they're entitled to do. Yeah, it's frustrating for the player and frustrating for, I get these players have got families and things like that, but at the same time, the club need to do what the club needs to do. St Helens have fallen victim, and I'm not saying about this about Percival, but they've fallen victim in the past for keeping players longer than they should do.
Any examples?
No, I'm not.
Any players that you can think of that maybe Saints could have moved on a little bit earlier?
you could probably go across the board. I mean, you could go Lomax, for example.
Yeah.
Obviously, great servant, and maybe he is good to have, like, as backup. I know he's injured now, but if you're not gonna, if you don't want these guys aren't on small amounts of money. These guys could free up some serious cap space for you to go spend on young. We see these, like, the New South Wales Cup guys coming over. Some of them guys that are coming over are killing it, and you'd be able to get the better. People want to play for St Helens. Like, anybody in Australia, they might not follow Super League massively, but they know about your St Helens, you know about your Leeds, you know about your Wiggins, and
they could really benefit, couldn't they? From I'm not saying that your teams like, let's say the newly promoted teams, Cass, Huddersfield, will they benefit from Q Cup, New South Wales Cup players coming over? They might get the odd gem, but like you say, the better ones of that sort of particular environment are gonna be probably wanting to play for Leeds, Saints, Wigan, like you say.
Well, I just think it's even the young prospects coming out of, like, England and other academies. Like, you look at, if you was coming out of, say, just for example, Huddersfield Giants Academy, you're a George Flanagan, and Saints come knocking on the door saying he's a 3-year contract, X amount of money. Chances are he's going to go. So that's what I think. I think they've just, I know I've singled out Lomax there. I'm not saying that he's been a great servant over the years.
Have other clubs done it as well? I'm just thinking of, Wigan.
Wigan are good at it. Wigan are good at it.
Farrell, is it a case of just they've got a better squad at the minute? So actually, I remember at one point all their fans were bagging Willie Isa, that he were kept on too long. And at the end of last season, who were they calling for? Liam Farrell. Then all of a sudden he seems to have started season all right. It's all right, but middle of season, we'll come on to Wigan in a moment, but they could be falling into the same position as a few other clubs. There are a couple of big injuries coming their way.
Problem is, Wigan have only got Farrell. That's the problem. St Helens over the years, there's like 4 or 5 in the squad that may be Ignatius Parsi, who was signed off on that contract extension. He's now alone at Salford. Like, he's not. I can guarantee you now.
Is it like they've moved on the wrong people? They've moved on Bell, moved on Batchelor. Could they have kept them for another year or two? But actually, the players they needed to be moving on were Walmsley, Lomax, maybe.
I just think it's definitely in a transitional phase. You're probably not going to see the end results this season. I think you're going to have to move certain players on. I don't know what. Obviously, this is Tristan Sailor's last year. It was a 2-year contract.
3-year contract.
Well, that's a problem in itself because, like I say, I mean, I've touched on it countless times now, and commentary even touched on it. You're so much better at fullback.
Yeah, he was the best player of the day.
He's a country mile better at fullback. He's not an halfback. I didn't know how that was going to play out, and you managed to get some wins on early doors, but he's not a halfback. He's a fullback. Same with Welsby. Welsby's not a halfback. He's a fullback. So what did he do there? That's down. I
think, like you say, you could go around the houses with it, couldn't you? With them two players, and at the end of the day, Welsby's out at the minute. Sailor's a very consistent player at the moment, so I think St Helens fans probably should be pretty happy with what they've got, and actually they need him at the minute. So he was the only guy that were really pulling strings. Hastings went really quiet at the weekend. We might as well stick on the Saints game whilst we're at it. They scraped a very scrappy win against Bradford. Who walks away from that game happier? Is it Bradford?
I think it's Bradford. To be fair, at the same time, I think Bradford. I guess it'll be very frustrating if they haven't got the 2 points there. I don't think it'll be a case of we've done really well, we've come to Saints and
they've lost 2 points for me there.
I think they'll be really upset with it and think that'll be their week leading into training this week of being like, we can compete. I think all the championship clubs have proved that, but they'll be disappointed they haven't got that win, and I think you'll sort of see that throughout the season with Bradford and the promoted teams that they can get. They're gonna challenge teams all the way throughout the season. Yeah, it's probably not going to be the easiest for them, and maybe like we've said before, they might get the odd blowout. But at a certain time, if they play like they did the other day against Saints, they're going to pick up wins. And
100%. And like we spoke about at home at Odsall, they're going to be picking up them wins there. Teams aren't going to want to go there. And let's be honest, if Saints were at home on Saturday and had a few things go in their favour, well, we would have lost at Odsall.
Yeah.
To be fair. And Bradford's star player, Wonga Blake, went off injured. Says a lot.
Yeah.
In front at that point. But yeah, I thought Bradford were really good. It were good to see, to be fair. And what were even better were the travelling Bradford fans. A really good support from them. So yeah, all things are looking really good. To say that a lot of people didn't really fancy Bradford for coming up. I think they've added a lot so far, so fair play to them. Let's kind of rewind then to Thursday night. Wakefield v Hull FC. Well, I don't think that will one for the neutrals, was it?
Oh, it was a tough watch. Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah, it was just a tough watch. I mean, about Wakefield, I think Hull have still got. Me included, I thought they were going to have a really good season, but I think they're still way off the mark. I know they've got injuries, and I know they've lost Will Price, but I just think all round, I think they're just way off the mark, and I think they're going to be in for another season like last season. They're going to win games, and they're going to, the fans. It's just going to be like a roller coaster for the fans again this season. I think, like I said, they'll win games, but they're also going to lose games. But yeah, that's one prediction that I've made for them for the top 6 that I can't see it. Even if they do bring in another fullback, I don't think the fullback's a problem.
What I found really odd is, has Ardake forgot how to play fullback or something? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he was as quick as he once was, but what were the issue for them? Well, he couldn't catch. That were a massive issue. That David Litton would just struggling to take balls in, and that's not the first week that's happened. It's happened before when he's been there. I'm thinking to steady it shit, they should just be shoving Ardake back there.
Yeah,
At least he's someone that could call the game from behind.
Yeah.
I know he's a completely different player now to what he used to be, but in that sort of game, I'd have been throwing Ardake back to fullback and just saying, look, just play your game. Ardake, he was very attacking, but his best trait was defensively at fullback. He never used to drop the ball, and he was very good one-on-one when someone were breaking through.
I think he'll be asked to play fullback. I don't know if it's been a discussion that he says. He might have said he don't fancy it.
I wouldn't be shocked if he will be this week.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the problem is, obviously, I'm not going in on David Litton too hard because he has actually had a good start to this.
He is. I think he's a really good player as well, but
it's schoolboy stuff, and you can't let the ball.
Can't really not.
Like you just can't. It's schoolboy stuff. I think.
But again, don't you find it weird? Like, it's not the only game we've seen it in this weekend.
No,
wingers and fullbacks dropping balls.
The Ravalala one were bad.
He's
literally rolled down
his arms fell off.
Yeah, I don't know. I seen a few comments on social media that it's been a weird one. Attendances have been up, things like that. I know we've seen a little bit of a dip with attendances this round, but they've still been up. But it's hard. It's been, obviously, everyone's challenging, which is good. Like, we haven't seen anybody lose. Well, we have only Giants without a win,
but they're the only team.
Yeah, but everyone else, like, everyone's challenging and things like that. And to be fair, I know Giants have lost, but they haven't been getting blown out. But a few fans have been commenting on social media saying, like, this has been the worst standard of rugby start to a season that they've ever seen, and I don't think they're far wrong.
What I've noticed as well is a lot of the rugby used to be just very simple. 3 drives, 4th play, they work to a point, and then play. And it would every team did the same thing, didn't they? Out the back, winger score in the corner, or short lead, someone scores on the post, whatever. You're now seeing that. Is it more exciting? Becoming like a basketball match. Just throwing the ball around everywhere. You know what? I think the quality is not there.
No, it's not.
You know what I mean? There's throwing balls everywhere. There's balls going into touch. The kicking game is not proving as pivotal anymore because they're not even getting to the kick sometimes. I'd be interested to know what the error count is in comparison to previous seasons at this point. It must be higher. I'm seeing that teams kind of just, no one's going set for set anymore, are they?
No, I think
everyone's just risking it out though.
It's just. I think it's just been quite the game. I've watched a lot of games this season. We're only in round 4 as well. Like, I've just thought that was a bad watch.
Yeah,
like the Wakefield Hull was a bad watch. I think
even highlights.
Yeah,
were not highlights.
Yeah, like I said, I watched a full game and it was a bad watch. I went to the Giants Hull KR game, and a lot of people might look at scoreboard and think, "Yep, Hull KR, we're back." It was a bad watch.
It was just a bad watch. I've got fans probably watch.
Yeah, like there were a few decent tries scored by Hull KR, but the all-round game from Willie Peters will be walking away from that being like, yeah, we're back.
I mean, they were just one of the 2 points, weren't they? But still, in terms of that rugby, you're sort of looking at it thinking, well, we've managed 2 points, but very luckily. Yeah, I think less said about the Wakefield Hull game, the better, but 2 sort of teams that are just not at it at the minute. Wakefield probably just sneaked it, maybe home advantage.
Both were making on that one anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, Wakefield on that one, which, to be fair, I think it played out as we expected. Just taking it and probably sneaking a win just home advantage. York and Warrington, an interesting one, obviously very high scoring. I did mention the week before that I know Warrington have won the game so far, and obviously they've got the game in hand to play against Hull KR, but for me, conceding 30 points against York, I'm not saying York are a team that can't score that amount of points, but yeah, I think, again, this point in the season, you're just wanting to chew up the wins, aren't you? And whether it's by 2 points or 60 points, I think Sam Birdsall will just be happy to get 2 points on that line, but will he be happy about that? I told you before, they conceded what were against a relatively poor Saints side, 4 tries at home. They've then gone and played York and conceded another 5 tries.
Yeah,
what do you think to them? I'm just not sold on them, mate. I know a few have said they've started really well, but
I'm not sold on them. But then I watch other teams. The only 2 teams that have really impressed me is Wigan and Leeds. That's the only 2 teams in the league that have impressed me. It's only 2 teams that play with real intent, that really want to go get hold of a game. Apart from that, it's hard for me. I don't want to sit.
Mediocre.
I get what you're saying with Warrington. I've not watched them being like they've never overly impressed me. At the end of the day, you haven't lost a game yet. So that's where they're currently at. Some other teams just absolutely snatch your arm off for that, because, like I say, some teams are losing it by when they shouldn't really be losing. Like, I don't feel like any game that I've watched this season, any team could have won.
Yeah,
like even Giants.
That could have gone that way, and obviously they got a bit of a scare, Warrington, didn't they? And I thought at one part, I thought momentum's well in there in York's favour here. Could quite easily sneak another one, and obviously Pulis just got that try just to sort of steady it up a little bit. But yeah, I think, again, nothing much to write home about with that one. High scoring game, could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I think I went with possibly York on that one, but
I don't think you did. I think it was.
I wanted to. I'll have to check.
Oh, I think, you know what? I think we both went York. I think we did.
I think we just fancied York to maybe come up with, we weren't going to play as bad as the week before, but
we'll have to check that.
Yeah, I'm not sure on Warrington. I think come up against a couple of bigger teams, if they came up against, as you say, the Hull KRs, Hull KR and Wigan, Leeds. It's not looking good. But yeah, I just feel like even Lee, and I know Lee have had a really tough start, which we'll come on to, but I think it'd be a different kettle of fish. They've had things work firing. I don't know, we're coming on to fixture. Yeah, we'll shortly, but we'll have a look at see what we're coming up with. So yeah, moving on, Lee and Catalan, again, another game which I don't think it was one for the neutrals, but yeah, I was surprised Catalan got a win here, to be fair. I really thought Lee had sort of come back and...
As soon as I seen the lineup, I went Catalan. I watched this one as well, and yeah, as soon as I seen Lee's lineup, I just thought Catalan will win this. Don't get me wrong, didn't think Lee were going to be that poor. It's hard.
It seemed like they started quite well, to be fair, and then it just kind of derailed. They just don't look the same at the minute.
Yeah, the senior try were a well-worked try. It's one of those... If I were Adrian Lamb right now, you go off the pitch and don't get me wrong, you'll be disappointed and very frustrated with that performance. But then, like I say, you'll look round the rest of the Super League and think, well, no one's firing here, maybe apart from Wigan. Not in panic station. I don't think that's the only beauty of it. I don't think any team's really panicking because of what's going on around them. But they were really poor. Catalan, I'll give it Catalan though. Catalan were good. They stayed in it. Obviously, they conceded an early try. They stayed in it. They fought hard, and again, they were really injury hampered. And
yeah, I just thought it was a really gutsy win for Catalan, because many questions could have been asked of them going forward. Obviously, they lost sort of heavily to Saints the week before. Obviously, got that win against Giants in round 1, but they just seem to have struggled, obviously, with the other games leading up to that. But yeah, a good win for them. Joel Tompkins will be pleased with that one, and I think it will probably get a bit of a sort of monkey off the back, so to speak, and probably feels a bit lighter going into training this week, which is good for them. And Lee, a notoriously really difficult place to go. They don't lose many at home, and yeah, they've mostly tripped up to Catalan there. I can't see Beaumont being very happy with that, but yeah, we'll see if they went out the cup this week. I think there might be the old kitchen sink being thrown in that changing room, but we will see what happens with that one. Then a relatively routine victory over Toulouse. 36-16. Toulouse scoring a few points.
I thought they played. I watched this game as well. I thought Toulouse played really well. Their tries that they scored was I haven't seen any team do that to Wigan yet.
Well, that try just before half time.
Yeah.
And I think Ashall Bott took a bit of a smack to the mush as well, didn't he, at that point? And yeah, he took it well, to be fair. And again, he was just everywhere, wasn't he? I thought, what just started this season solidly well. There's definitely going to be a few clubs sniffing around him again, and he's really, really put himself in the shop window. But so he's Toulouse's main man and doing a really, really good job. I really don't think anyone would have even. His name wouldn't even come in anyone's predictions to be having a good season. We're early days, but we know his skill set and how good he was at the clubs he's been at. He's been around a bit, hasn't he, and kind of settled in Toulouse and started really well. The Dupree thing were a bit odd. Could he just not play, or what were sort of the crack there? Because I think he were expected to play, and then
I don't know.
I don't actually know what went on with that, but again, just. Yeah, for me as a neutral looking at it, I'd be, you're not happy to come away with a loss, but there's no shame in losing to Wigan.
Toulouse
were firing at minute, Wigan.
Toulouse won't be worried about that at all.
I don't think so. I think it was a bit of a free hit for them, and
we're going to just
give it a good go. Yeah, they look fit, they look fast, but we've got to come on to it. It's looking like Bevan French has maybe got a bit of a nasty injury.
Yeah.
If that's a hamstring, which has been the case before,
could
be without him for, they reckon, probably 8 to 12 weeks.
I don't think
they've got Jai Field as well. He had appendix so he'll be sort of back. He might even be back a bit sooner. If you remember Luke Gale coming back from the
well, it's been
in a week, so yeah, I won't be shocked if he comes back. But
I don't think
they've got players, haven't they? The players that they've got. Put someone there, Eckersley. Will he go to fullback? He started the season really well. If I were him, I'd be thinking, keep me on the wing. I'll keep scoring meat pies and be happy with that. He's had a very good, and he looks bigger as well at Eckersley. Looks a big unit on the wing.
There's no one going to stop Wigan. You can take Bevan French and Jai Field out for the full season, and no one stops them.
I would say they are a very different team with them two not playing, and that's happened year on year. That they've looked very different as soon.
I know
this is the first time this season we're going to see them. Without them two sort of firing, really.
This season's different. They just, whoever's faster and fittest will win the league. This new ruck change has proved that. You look when they played Hull. They could have won that game without Bevan French or Jai Field because the defence was unbelievable. Luke Thompson seems like an absolute animal this year, and he's going to be well in for the England call. That seems to hurt him and damaged him that he didn't get taken. They're a different beast. I've not seen anyone defend like him, and I've not seen anyone even attacking wise. They're not throwing the ball around Wigan. They're just going straight through the middle and just up, and then they'll wait. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Obviously, then you've got Jai Field and Bevan French. They can muster something up out of something, but you look at all the games they've won now. They're winning by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tries.
Well, how many points is that? 36 points the other day. How many against FC? Was it 40 against FC?
No, 50.
50 against FC. No, 52 against Lee.
I think.
Was it 40?
46.
Yeah.
46 against FC.
They've scored, I think, 160 points or something in 4 games. They're averaging 40 plus a game.
And yeah, don't get me wrong, like I say, it's a massive miss, obviously, taking Bevan French and Jai Field out, but you look at other teams, Saints are riddled with injuries, other teams are riddled with injuries. Obviously they're riddled with injuries.
I think what you've said about Wigan, and we spoke about it, how the teams are playing, they seem to just be throwing the ball about and open. It's like everyone's gone to playing like Salford did 2-3 years ago, throwing the ball around, open foot best, and trying to catch teams cold, but it seems teams are just non-responsive, sitting back, waiting for mistakes to happen, whereas Wigan have just been direct and finding space on an edge. How many tries? The wingers are just going in for tries for fun, whereas other teams are having to barge over the line or scoring at sticks because they're throwing the ball about.
Just gassing them out in the middle.
Yeah, they look really strong. I can't really see anything other than them at the minute. But as we've said, we've predicted that they won't lose a game. Probably not lose the derby either, but I think going into that Easter weekend, that'll be the biggest test, as the old saying goes. Form goes out the window. I think it's at St Helens as well, but yeah, I think a lot depends. We'll have to see how they get on without the two of them. They are superstars, but like Farriman's look really good. What I'm looking at is you're looking at players. George Brown's come in this weekend again, done really well for Leeds. You're looking at players like Farriman that's come in, don't look out of place at all. I look at Whitby, he looked out of place again at Saints. I thought he really looked
just-
out of place. But
If you put Whitby in Wigan, he's not.
well, this is the thing, yeah.
You could go around, like I say, the complaints has been made for St Helens and Man United at the minute. Any player in that Saints team, apart from 1 or 2, are looking poor. So, or you might get 4 or 5 that you can pick out every game. But like I say, that good.
Well, let's say if you put David Litton in Wigan squad, anyone you're putting in that Wigan team are going to look good at the minute.
Yeah, well,
They've got 16 other players round and they're all playing really well.
that Good Friday game that I just got, like Wigan seem to be trying to, every time they get the toss, they want to kick off. You can see why, because they pin him into.
They're just too big, too strong. They really do.
Obviously, then you're starting your first set on halfway line, and that's it. You're dead, because Wigan won't make an error.
No,
That's without Bevan Fletcher, John Grilling,
the
and the team just gets suffocated. So.
Well, we'll move on to, we spoke a little bit about the Hull KR Huddersfield one. Not much to talk about there. Hull KR, 2 points. Don't think Peters will be particularly thrilled by it, but I think he will be happy to come away with 2 points.
Yeah, be happy. There were a few decent bits that they did, a few decent tries, but they still look pretty flat trying to attack Giants' line.
Are Giants that bad?
Yeah.
Are we cutting them some slack because they've got a lot of injuries, or
No, I think they were wooden spooners anyway. I don't see who comes into that team and change it. All the tries that they've scored, I mean, I don't know how many tries they've scored. I'm sure something like 70% of the tries have been scored by George Flanagan. He's going to be out for a long, long time now. He's picked up a nasty injury.
So looking ahead, where does this leave Huddersfield? If they finish bottom of that league,
Yep.
You've got players like George Flanagan, who signed a big contract, but as we know, means very little. Could end up going somewhere else. You've got Luke Robinson. Do they just keep hold of him and carry on through? They must feel sorry for him because he's got. But the questions have got to be asked. Why so many injuries? There's an element of luck, but also
he has 16 first-team injuries, which is not good. They just look unfit. They look tired. They look lethargic. Some of it's got to come down to conditioning. Like I say, there's a reason why we're looking at teams like the minute, like Leeds and Wigan and things like that. And not only there has been some times when I've watched Leeds and I even watched them against Castleford, and sometimes they did look a bit tacky, but at the same time they were just fit and they were just going and going.
Funny, isn't it? We'll come on to it, but Brad Arthur's come out and said Maker Sevo's not even fit, and he's unfit at the minute, so that's concerning for everyone. We'll come on to Leeds and Castleford. The old local derby, obviously before the Bulls were back, and Wakefield obviously really picked up recently. So Leeds and Cass, this has been a bit of a ding dong in years gone by, and especially when both teams were firing. But Leeds look sort of like years ahead at the minute. They look like there's 5 years difference between both of those two teams. Cass back to the drawing board. Leeds are sort of, as you mentioned, kind of in second position to potentially being the only team to compete with Wigan this season. Another hat trick for Maika Sevo. Don't think he were playing against anyone, which probably helped. But just Cass again. Are Cass fans concerned, do you think? Do you think Cass fans had a bit of hope going into that game? No. I think a lot realistically maybe thought they might catch them cold with a Vegas trip, but it seemed pretty just a professional performance from Leeds. Victory at home. And I don't think Cass are up to much. A few more injuries for them as well, I think. So
Leeds didn't play. Cass didn't play bad, so it's just one of those better teams aren't there. That's what's going to happen in it. The better team won pretty simply.
Where do Cass sit? Like, where do Castleford sit in this? I mean, they've had Wigan, Toulouse.
They've had a tough start as well.
And Leeds. So realistically, Wigan, Toulouse, Giants, Leeds. I think they go into the season looking to win two out of 4 at least from there.
You do, but no one knew.
Toulouse game, they only lost.
That's what I mean. They've won the game everyone expected. They won the Giants game.
They won the Giants game convincingly.
No one would have picked them to beat Wigan.
No.
Only lost by 10 points.
And to get a win at Headingley, I don't think anyone would fancy him to do that. An interesting game coming up, which we'll come on to, because I think it could go either way. But I don't think Cass will be too downbeat about that. Would they expect to score more than a try? I think so. I think you've got to be disappointed. And the only thing is they've scored 30-odd points a week before. They've scored a try.
Against Giants.
I mean, let's be honest, OKR, they struggled. So I don't know. I don't know where Cass see that. Maybe they just write it off as it's not been a blowout score. They were in the game for periods of it.
Some
of the tries were genuine errors, poor coach killing errors, I thought. So yeah, you can either take that as a positive that they weren't broken down as such, but they've got to be disappointed with some of them, and we've got to touch on it. The Revoir mistakes.
Well, the loss, it was 10-4 at half time, so they're still winning the game. They then make 3 errors for the last remaining 3 tries. So you can look at, to be fair, I don't actually think, a few people have said it as well. I've seen it reported that Leeds, it wasn't Leeds' best game, maybe on a little bit of a hangover still from Las Vegas, tired, a bit lethargic, but I don't think Cass will be too worried about it. Like I said, the Revoir mistakes were just...
Do you think he gets dropped for that?
No. You think he's going to get dropped?
I don't know, but...
Who do they put there to drop him?
Gary, is he playing?
He's on to win. He's played all 4 matches.
Haven't really got out, have they, to be fair? I mean, he's a big profile signing as well, and it's one of them. The likelihood is he'd probably, whether they did have a replacement, he probably ain't getting dropped anyway. He's on too much money, and he's getting played, and that's that because your chairman's asking why is he not playing. Well, yeah, it'd be a bold statement to drop him and bring in a young lad if that's what they were to do. Maybe McIntosh onto the wing and put someone else in the centre. I don't know, but what you can't be doing is can't be dropping. The one thing is if he is, we'll come on to the fixtures in a minute, but Saints have been doing a lot of the kick into the corner.
He's going to get targeted. Any team would be stupid.
They're looking at that art of thinking. I mean, the aerial, felt he's a massive aerial threat, but he's going to be on the other side. They're not going to swap him sides, are they? So, I mean, potentially they're going Murphy again. He does have a bit of a threat in the air.
Tell you what won't surprise me, that you'll still kick to felt. As I say this, I keep seeing it. I've seen it. Toulouse keep doing it. We've just watched Patrick Mago for the first 4 rounds just burst through and get to the 30-metre line. He did it against Cass, he did it against Hull, he did it against Lee. Yet people are still kicking to his side. And then they do it twice and realise probably shouldn't do that. Start kicking to the other side. I don't know when they'll realise.
Yeah, it's an odd one, that,
it's a bit of an odd one. They went the full length against Cass and Lee by doing that. So I don't know why they keep doing it, but so it won't surprise me if it's still. Well, to be fair, Felt's an aerial target, but it would definitely be a target, and it'll definitely come up in review. That maybe put a few early ones up to him, see what he does, and then change tactic from there. So we'll see.
Well, looking at the table after the round of fixtures, you've got obviously Wigan, the only team at the minute on sort of 4 out of 4. So you've got Warrington that are still on 100% as well, but a game to play. And then you've got Leeds and Saints both sat on 6 points as well. So all relatively tight still. Wigan, you could say, are not running away with it, but they're clearly out in front at the minute, having not lost a game yet. But yeah, we're obviously coming on to Challenge Cup weekend. Yeah, it's. I think there's going to be some good fixtures there. What do you think? Have you got any? Can you remember who you predicted for Challenge Cup final? Leeds. Won't be a bad shout. What are you thinking? Still the same?
Just so happy to stay with Leeds. Not a bad prediction because them two. I think it's going to be Leeds or Wigan. I think whoever Leeds or Wigan, no one else picks up silverware this year.
Well, it's not looking likely, is it, for anyone?
No,
to be fair, it'll be a bit of a, like you say, massive injuries came into play for certain teams. There's some big fixtures, some really good games this weekend, and yeah, I suppose we've got to touch on all of them. We'll touch on sort of the biggies and what they're looking like for the weekend. Obviously, Friday night, you've got an all-out Super League fixture in both games. Wakefield and Leeds. Wakefield at home. Can't see Leeds losing that.
No,
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a close day.
Yeah, I just got to. I haven't seen enough from Wakefield this season yet to warrant them winning that game.
Me too.
I think, although I do think John Teamfield's been good, been a little bit.
Yeah, but as we said before, best thing for him probably won it. He got man at match of the day, but yeah, I can't see them getting out from that. Wigan and Bradford, I think it's a one-way street. That one, I think Bradford. I think Haggerty's got on playing some really good rugby. Take nothing away from them. I did think Saints were really poor the other night, but Bradford threw the ball around and really tested him.
Wigan.
It's at Wigan.
Oh,
Yeah. Especially on that terrible pitch as well. Well, there's something Bradford will be used to that. So we'll go Warrington playing Goole away. I think it's a one-way street, that one.
Yep.
York are at home to Keighley. I could see Keighley maybe putting up a bit of a fight, but yeah, I think York will win that and get a decent win there. Again, we're back to the Gal Farm, or the Aku Stadium as it's known now. Ulker playing away to Huddersfield. Do Huddersfield put up a better fight, or can you only see a one-way street here and Hull are coming away with the spoils again?
Not now, they've got too many injuries. They finished the game with 12 men because they didn't, all the subs.
It's poor.
Yeah, Flanagan got injured, obviously Matt English went off, Tanguy Zenon.
Did Lollahire need to go to fullback?
No, they put Gagai to fullback. Gagai came off, Zenon came off. The end of the game is, we lost 6 or 7 minutes with 12 men because all the subs got injured. That's including one of the a player on the field. So I don't, honestly, a list came out today of the 16 players who were injured. I don't know who they're going to field on next week.
They'll have to pull into reserves, aren't they?
Yeah, you're going to get probably, I think it's been rumoured already they're going to have 7 debutants. That could be a little bit of a messy one for...
The Wrench one, that's an interesting signing. I think you would pick up that, yeah.
Good pick up. Seemed a little bit strange. I don't know what his reasons for retiring were at the time. I know it was
just a bit random, wasn't it? It came from nowhere, and
we've performed really well.
I'm a bit disappointed with that because I think they've always kind of rated him. He's had his fair share of injuries there. Maybe they saw it as they had players like Lindop coming through, still keeping Toby King. They got a few list brothers.
They opted to re-sign him, but like I say, I know for a fact a fair few clubs was
interested,
knocking at the door sort of thing, but he opted to retire as personal reason. Don't know what it was for, but
a good pickup. But as I say, just walking into a bit of a sorry state of affairs at the minute. So good luck to him.
Yeah, he'll come in and hope they do well.
But yeah, I think they're not losing that one either. Catalan v Oldham. Catalan at home. I think Oldham, it's a day out for them. They look good this year, Oldham, to be fair. And they've strung some good games together. But yeah, I won't be shocked if they scored a couple of tries there. I think Catalan come away with a home victory. And Lee against Hull. I think that'll be quite a tasty fixture, that. Lee at home. Hull notoriously do okay in the Challenge Cup. Just seem to have that little bit of something about them in Challenge Cup games. And yeah, I don't know, I think Hull could come away with a win here. This is one of the only games where I think Hull go in as underdogs. I think both teams are playing poor at the minute. But if you take form out of it, I'm saying take form out of it, but I'm looking at it from a way of, I think Hull just muster something here and come away with a scrappy win.
Yeah, it could happen. Like I said, it's probably a toss-up, that one.
I think it is. I think it's a toss-up, that one, but I'll just go Hull on that one just to maybe fire something different in there. Yeah. Generally, as a 50-50, you'd probably go with your home team, wouldn't you? But yeah, I think Hull could come away with something there. I'm going to go Hull on that one. Yeah. And then Castleford are at home to St Helens. That's probably could be the game of the weekend. Two kind of teams that have, well, not really done much so far this season. But again, really, would you ever have said a game like this one a 50-50? I don't think so, and I think it's a genuine 50-50, this one.
Yeah, I don't know how unscathed Castleford have come away from the Leeds game, so I don't want. It's an hard one to call, but I think going off, I can't see Saints losing, but I just think at the same time, then if Castleford turn it into a bit of a scrappy game, St Helens have got tendencies to just make silly mistakes and errors. And
who did Cass play at fullback the other day?
Zach Tina, which again I know. Yeah, I know Ryan Carr. I think he spoke to a few players about, do you fancy it sort of thing, and certain players seen him just put his hand up and said, yeah, I'll do it.
What I think in this one, as I say, I think it could go 50-50. Could go either way. I think Cass will be licking the lips at this. Good time to play Saints.
They'll definitely
when Cass always draw Saints as well. I know a lot of fans have said that. 3 things: death, taxes, and either FC or Saints in Challenge Cup, and they've drawn Saints again in the early rounds. But I think Saints will go into this, and it's just going to have to be a professional performance. And it sounds daft, that, but going in, very tactical. I think set for set. I don't think there'll be any of this rolly ball in this game. I think they'll just try to go set for set and hope that maybe they've just got that little bit more of a higher calibre of players that could potentially scrape a win in this one. I think they'll be going to put 2 points when they're on offer at every opportunity. Yeah, I don't know if they're any closer to getting any players back for this week, whether it be Percival, Wingfield. I'm not sure, but they're obviously down on troops and they're relying on a few youngsters coming through. So it could end up being a good fixture. I think Saints come away with the spoils but I think it comes down to maybe taking a few 2-pointers when they're on offer. Saints a very gritty defensive performance. I don't know how Cass attacked this one, because again, I don't think they go set for set. If they throw the ball around, if they take a leaf out of Bradford's book the other day, Saints really struggled on the edges.
I think Cass will just focus on themselves. I think, respectfully, I don't think they'll be too worried in the best.
I think they'll be licking the lip.
Yeah, in the nicest way. Yeah, I don't think they will be. They will. I know Saints have picked it. Obviously, they got 6 points, but I don't think they're looking at Saints being like, "Gonna be a tough game." It will be a tough game, but you know what I'm trying to say. They won't be thinking, "Oh, they're gonna come here and hammer us." Maybe if they had a Wigan, like they'll be thinking, "Like this is a very winnable game." And
I think this is a proper. I'd say a proper halfbacks game. This for halfback to take control. I'm thinking of you, Jackson Hastings. That's a game for him to come away with a man of match from.
Yeah.
To really taking control, game management, as I say, just going set for set, which we've spoke about. A lot of teams are not doing at the minute, and doing the simple stuff really well. I don't think there'll be anything flashy, and yeah, it might just be a couple of little magic moments that might win it, but could go either way. It really could go either way, that game. I'm just going to go Saints just based on that. I think potentially Hastings having a good game. He went missing the other day. He really did good.
Yeah.
I thought, obviously he's got Whitby, and you'd like to think he'd take control a little bit more when he's got young lad on the other side. But yeah, I'll go Saints on that one.
Yeah, I'll go Cass. I'll go opposite way, just as you did with Hull League game. But like I say, I think 50-50. Both teams will want it. And it just wouldn't be surprised if Saints go away with the win. Won't surprise me.
Yeah, I don't think it surprises me either way on that one, mate. So, yeah, that wraps up the Challenge Cup round fixtures. Let's see what happens. Obviously, another week. But again, as we've said already, how good to have Rugby League back on the screens. And
Yeah.
long may that continue. The game, the summer, we're getting hopefully some better weather coming through now. Not as cold, and sort of getting into them Easter months. It's definitely you start to see that bit more sort of summer rugby. Don't get me wrong, there'll be some downpours, I'm sure, but yeah, another good week of fixtures ahead. Let's see what happens. I'm sure there'll be some upsets somewhere. We just don't know where. We've made us predictions. We're about to find out, like you say. So thank you again to listening for another episode of Unfiltered Rugby League. If you haven't already, we've had plenty of viewers. Make sure you subscribe and like the channel. It helps us just to boost our figures going forward. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you can. Thank you to Nova Coffee as always for providing the goods. Their shop based over in Sisset in Huddersfield. Don't forget to try that out if you can. Thanks again for watching. Shay, thanks for joining.
Cheers.
All the best. Cheers.